and I'm so excited to hear how
Yeah.
it's going.
And it is less expensive than plants, remarkably so. So I actually ordered from Butcher Box because people had recommended that to me. They have a fabulous bacon in there that has a bunch of pepper on it. It's so good.
That sounds amazing.
So, all right. So what I've noticed is, and the blood work is still out. So, and there's a little bit of a mystery. So part of what you've helped me understand is that as I'm eating more meat and getting rid of these carbs, my liver function is going to improve so that I'm not likely to go into iron overload or really trigger this condition I have. And in fact, it may actually wind up reversing it and deactivating that gene because my liver function is working so much better. But we don't know, or maybe you know, actually in time, like about when that would happen in the process. But I'm giving labs. I have labs next month. And even if my iron's high, I'm going to stay on the carnivore diet because something tells me it's just going to take longer because it'll only be probably a month that I've been on the diet by the time I go get lab work. I don't remember when I'm having that. But I'm not very hungry. And the hunger, when I am hungry, it's different. So I used to get hungry. I never really get hangry. Sometimes if I was really stressed, then I could. But I would start to get the low blood sugar shakes. Like you said, like I would actually feel the energy leaving my body. Whereas now it's just, it's not as drastic. It's not as painful. And what was really noticeable to me, so I do bar with my mom twice a week. And before I started carnivore, I had to make sure I ate before I went, because I went one time and I hadn't eaten yet. And it's not a super hard bar class. So I'm like, I'll just eat after. I literally had to go to the restaurant across the street before I got home because I had the blood sugar shakes and I didn't think I was going to be able to get home without eating. Like I literally could not even make it 15 minutes home. I was that hungry. I'm like, I have to go get a sandwich. I have to. And I plowed it immediately before I left, like totally undid the bar class. And then I did the same thing and wasn't hungry in the morning after carnivore. And this was the first week. This was like 5 days into it. And I didn't eat. I just had my tea with some goat's milk and I moved that. I used to be with coconut milk. I changed that to goat's milk. No carbs in it at all. And I was hungry at the end of the workout, but I was not ravenous and my energy didn't drop when I was working out. I still had plenty of energy because that was the other thing I realized in class, like I had to do less and less because my energy was just going down the drain. And I kept the energy for the whole class when I was on carnivore, and I was able to get home instead of having an extra expense and all that stuff and eating. I mean, it's a great restaurant. I actually love it, but it's filled with carbs and I won't be going there for a little while, but it's absolutely delicious. It's super easy to intermittent fast. I'm actually going about 18 hours a day without eating.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'll eat twice. Like I was aiming for 16. And then like yesterday, I think I had a snack at 2 because I think I didn't eat enough the day before. I'm like, let me grab a couple more calories. And then woke up feeling great this morning and had a nice big breakfast. And then I had a bacon quiche for lunch. And it had like an onion in it, which the onion felt a little weird. Like as I was dying, I was like, ooh, this feels very uncomfortable. But the bacon, the egg, and the cheese.
Did the onion feel stronger? Was it like a much stronger taste than what you remember?
It not so much because it was really like they had a lot of bacon in there and they didn't have tons of onion. Actually, no, you're right. It did taste stronger. Yeah. Yeah, you are right. Yeah. Let's see what else. The craziest thing. So I have and I have muscle tested intolerant to eggs before. I couldn't eat eggs more than 2 or 3 times a week. Seventh-day Adventist would have loved me. Could only eat eggs 2 or 3 times a week, or I get massive tension headaches, like feeling like my whole head is in a vice, like from my neck, just like something is just pushing everywhere. And it's really, really uncomfortable, especially in the neck. And so I knew that like, okay, that I ate eggs, I shouldn't eat it again. And then if, I had milk, I grew up intolerant to milk. When I was a baby, it was really, really bad. And it's gotten a little less bad. Now it just kind of comes out in the form of gas if I have too much dairy. I haven't had any gas. I haven't had any headaches, and I've been having eggs and dairy every single day.
Amazing.
Every single day. And I am not reacting to it at all. And so I was actually checking in with my practitioner who I worked with on the root cause protocol. And I told her I was doing carnivore, and she's like, just there's a couple things to watch for in here. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna mind those. She's like, you do need some carbs for brain function. Like,
You make them. You make
yeah,
them. Your
right.
body makes exactly the right amount that you need at every given time. There's no carbohydrate necessary that you have to consume. Carbohydrates are necessary inside the body, but your body makes the exact right amount at all times.
Right. And the brain fog is going to be the indicator of that. Like if I'm waking up with a brain fog, then I'm not eating enough calories. It doesn't mean carbohydrates, but that would be like, okay, if that is something to look for, I would look for brain fog. I would look for lowered energy as the symptom that something wasn't right.
You could increase your calories. You could increase your fat, especially fats that are very ketogenic and convert to ketones really easily. Like an MCT oil would be an example of that, where basically it's a fat source that it's impossible to be stored. It has to be burned. And so by having something like an MCT oil, your brain's alternate fuel, your brain will reduce its requirements for glucose. It needs some. It'll need about 20%, but the rest of it can be fed, and probably preferably quite happily, by ketones. And so as long as the ketones are coming up and supplying that fuel, that should be taking care of itself. So I would assume, just a guess based on my observation, is that will pass for you very quickly, regardless of more calories or less calories. I'll bet that will just kind of go away in another week or two. My guess.
And I'm only 2 weeks in, and it says it takes 2 to 4 weeks to adapt. So I just want to mark that for everybody as well. The poop factor, because we talk about poop on this show, that's different. That's very different. There's not nearly as much. It's not difficult, you know, but I take magnesium and a probiotic, but that's what I've been on for years for my body. Magnesium on and off, but there's not nearly the volume. And it's not nearly as nasty as it was, you know, because it's shit is shit. I mean, there's a reason we say, oh, I got the shit end of the stick. It's because it's not pleasant. You know, it's waste. It's leaving your body. It's done. Bye-bye. It's not a pleasant thing, but it's not like, it's weird.
So
weird.
It is good weird. I used to have books and magazines in my bathrooms, like next to the toilet. And soon after starting Carnivore, it's like, well, this is stupid. My bathroom trips take 5 seconds. Like there's not a lot. It's going to come out very easily and very quickly. And it's just fine. Like, imagine if I'm giving you the right exact perfect fuel that you needed and that your body was designed to run on for hundreds of thousands of years, and you just have it and you ate the right amount. Your body stopped you when you were too full, and you're using all of it. None of it is really going to waste. A very small amount is going to waste. Where the other way, you know, people that are constipated, we just tell them to have more fiber. If they have digestive issues, we give them more fiber. That's the last thing we should do. That's more bulk. That's more stool you're going to have. That's more waste product that has to pass through you, and it's going to cause more damage. So that is a story I hear across the board on the carnivore diet. It's cool that you observe that.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, and it makes sense too, that if your body is using more, then there isn't going to be as much waste product. But what's amazed me, I've tried to do intermittent fasting multiple times before, and for a couple of days, I could go 16 hours without eating. And I was like watching the clock, white knuckling it, like, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. And like at 16 hours, you're barely into autophagy too. Like you really want to actually push past that if you can, from what I understand about it. And I have a friend that she's done it for over a year and she looks amazing. She's lost 30 some odd pounds. She works out regularly. Like she's in the best shape that I've seen her in years. And she has one big meal a day. That's it.
Yep.
And she just eats once a day, and she's really gotten used to that, and it really works for her. And so I'm like, I really want to try this. I could not do it until I got to the carnivore diet. And then it's like on day 2, I'm like, at first I'm like, all right, let's just change to the meat. And then I'm like, oh wow, I just went 12 hours without eating. Am I hungry? No. Okay. Well, let's just keep going. And
important to point out that you did it. Your example that you gave earlier was the exact right, perfect order of doing things. If you think the way we would have lived, how other carnivore animals live, is like when you get hungry, it means it's time to hunt. And if you get hungry the way that a carb addicted person will get, you have less energy. You feel worse. Your blood sugar is tanked. When you get hungry the way a carnivore should get, you get dialed. You're in the fucking zone. Like your brain is turned on because you need to go hunt. And if it just happened that like every day of not getting food, you got worse and worse and worse, we would have never survived. We need to get better and better and better. So the body starts burning more fat, producing more ketones, brain energy goes up. Then when you find your food, you attack it. That should be a feast meal. And I really do think like I want people to be so satiated with their meal that they have a weird aversion. Like even if they have 2 bites left, they just can't do it. They don't want it. People come around with a dessert thing and you're just like, get the hell out of here. Can't even look at that if I wanted to. And then you go back on a fast. You go, the lion makes a kill, eats everything that it gets first priority, and then it goes and takes a nap until it's time to feast again. And thinking about the opposite story, think about what you were doing when you were going to get the food before the class because you needed it. Well, now you just filled your body with more calories. You started the digestive process. So now blood and energy is going to digesting the food. So now it's even competing with the rest of your body that now needs to ramp up. But the food that you ate, if it contained carbohydrates, had insulin, insulin goes high, locks away all the fat, and means whatever you burned came from the food you just ate, which is carbohydrate. So it was like up and down, a complete waste. Your energy probably wasn't as good as you needed it to be. You probably exclusively burned carbohydrates, didn't burn any fat, any measurable amount, and you probably went home and craved more carbohydrates. Yeah, that's what we're told to do. And then we just blame people and say, you're eating too much. You're not working out enough. Give me a break. It's crazy.
Give me $50.
Exactly.
The profit part of it.